It's time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with Flo Villeneuve.
Hey, Jeannie.
Hi, Flo. Today we're going to focus on the French capital. Paris, of course, known for being the city of light, the city of love, but many tourists complain that Paris is just too dirty.
Well, when you imagine the capital, you imagine beautiful parks, romantic cafes, these impressive monuments, but real everyday Paris is actually quite different from postcard Paris. There are urine-soaked sidewalks, for instance, dog poop just about everywhere, cigarette butts as far as the eye can see, overflowing trash cans. These are kind of everyday things. And these trash cans have led to a major rat problem in France. And it's not the cute ratatouille rat problem. Now, this is definitely something that upsets tourists and also Parisians.
They say it's a city of love, so you build it up in your head, and then when you get here, it's not what you expected.
It's not great. There's paper everywhere, dog poop, it's a scandal. People are selfish slobs.
I have to admit from experience, dog poop is a real problem here. But since 2002, dog owners by law have to pick up their dog poop, but the problem is they don't.
Indeed. Now, each day, 200,000 Parisian pooches produce 16 tons of poop. Now,
that's a lot of poop.
It's a lot of poop. Back in the day, there were these little motorcycles that would go around with vacuum cleaners that would essentially vacuum up the poop. They were called motocrottes, but they disappeared in the 1990s. Now, people do pick up more than they used to, but it's definitely not enough.
The parks are pretty clean.
But the dog stuff.
Yeah, it's dangerous. You have to watch your step.
People don't care. They're talking on the phone while their dog does its business. And then they walk away without a care in the world.
Now, whether it's dog poop or trash, Paris authorities are aware of the problem, and they've even stepped up efforts to try and keep the city clean, but it is very expensive.
Each year, the city spends about 550 million euros on cleaning up the city. So that is 245 euros per inhabitant. And on top of that, it hires about 7,000 cleaners. Les éboueurs, you can see them there. They wear these green uniforms. So that's about one cleaner for every 320 inhabitants. And there are 30,000 trash cans, so one for every 74 inhabitants. So it seems like all the elements are in place for Paris to be a clean city. So what is the problem? Well, some people say it's Parisians, in fact. Now, you can't generalize. Of course, some Parisians are very clean, but Parisians do have the reputation of being quite selfish. They put themselves and their comfort first. And a lot of people are saying there's a lot to be done to change people's hearts and minds.
We have to change our behavior, act in a more civic-minded way in the way we live together. We have to raise awareness amongst Parisians and people who visit Paris that this is a public space and we have to respect it.
Now, in order to raise awareness, Paris authorities regularly publish ad campaigns.
Let's take a look at this ad that has been around in the recent years. You can see 350 tons of mégots per year, and mégot is actually our word du jour. It's the French word for cigarette butt, and it really is the bane of Paris authorities' existence. You saw it there in the ad. Each year, 350 tons of cigarette butts are picked up by cleaning up services. That's the equivalent of 30 buses. Now, keep in mind, it takes 5 to 10 years for a cigarette butt to disintegrate. Now, to crack down on people's bad habits, Paris authorities have actually increased fines, and quite dramatically. If you're caught throwing a cigarette butt into the streets of Paris or littering, it'll cost you 68 euros. Now, Parisians are a little divided over what to think about these fines.
We pay taxes for people to sweep the streets. Now we're going to pay taxes so people can fine us. Pretty soon you're going to have to pay to breathe.
I think it's great. People need a good fine.
People treat their country like a trash can, so I'm for it. But it won't work. You can't get someone following every cigarette butt.
Of course, increasing fines can't be effective unless officials are there to enforce the fines. And recently, the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, set up a special brigade to do just that.
It's called the Incivility Brigade, and it's on a mission to stamp out bad street etiquette, one fine at a time. Now, 3,200 agents, you can see them here, patrol the streets 24/7 to catch people red-handed. And this, too, has been met with mixed reactions.
There are enough fines as it is. I don't think it's a good way to send a message.
It's definitely a good thing. The streets of Paris aren't always clean, whether it's cigarette butts, gum, litter.
Our reward is to see that people don't litter as much, they don't spit, the streets are cleaner.
Now that's for the cigarette butts, the infamous mégots. Another big problem in Paris is that people, mostly men, urinate in public. And there are some 450 self-cleaning public toilets across the city, but they never seem to use them.
Now, the city's latest solution has really raised a lot of eyebrows. You might have heard about this. They're calling it the urine-trottoir. That's a play on word, urine, urine, and trottoir, sidewalk. Now, they're touted as eco-friendly toilets. They have great views and a lot of critics.
When you look, they're pretty low. It's at eye level for kids, and that bothers me.
This is terrible for Paris's image. When tourists see this, I think they laugh, but they laugh at us.
Now, critics were quick to point out that on top of being kind of gross, they were no extra facilities were provided for women, and so in a way it's discrimination. And in fact, some people were so upset that they actually vandalized those urinals. Now, we could do a whole show on, a longer show rather, on how dirty Paris is. We didn't even really talk about the rats or the pigeons, but we'll have to do that in another episode of French Connections. For now, it seems though there's no miracle solution for cleaning up the city, unless there's perhaps a cultural revolution in Paris.
Let's hope that starts happening. Florence Villemona, thank you so much for that look at Paris. Dirty or not, we do love it. If you have any questions for Flo about France or the French or for an upcoming French Connections, be sure to send her a tweet at Flo Villemona.